Hello, good evening. Happy Sunday to you. Welcome to Anupali. Thank you for joining me this evening again. We have had an eventful week indeed. This past week, contracts for a number of projects were signed under the BNTF Needs Trust Fund BNTF, amounting to over $6 million. We will see work begin on the Casa Bruce Secondary School, production facility, the Mount Prosper Primary School, and sports facility upgrade, the Dominica Community High School extension, the Woodfordville playing field, a very important project, the Dominica Association of Persons with Disability Development Center, and the Grand Fond storm drains. A contract for the Mount Prosper Water Supply project is due to be signed soon to replace an almost 50-year-old water system which suffered extensive damage during Tropical Storm Erica and Hurricane Maria. Though these projects are varied in nature, they all have the same rationale: to improve the lives of the people in the beneficiary communities. Your government is constantly sourcing ways to add value to people's lives, whether it be through improvements in educational infrastructure or through community development projects designed to reduce poverty and enhance lives. We look forward to continuing partnerships with the BNTF and to the completion of these projects within the coming months. During the 2020-2021 budget presentation, I articulated a number of new measures to stimulate job creation, small business development, reduce poverty, and empower the citizens of Dominica to improve their lives and their economic circumstances. We are facilitating access to financing for small and medium-sized businesses and making home ownership easier for young Dominicans through a reduction in land transfer fees and a $10,000 grant to first-time home builders. Another such initiative designed to stimulate economic activity is the Dominica Entrepreneurship Visa Program, which will attract investments and capital to new and existing local businesses. Under the program, foreign investors who start a small business or invest in an existing business will be granted resident status. The overall objective of this program is to widen Dominica's economic base by expanding business activity and creating new jobs. We are moving forward with this initiative at a time when we must source new and creative ways to generate revenue and boost economic activity owing to the adverse impact of COVID-19 on economies worldwide. Mr. Kenny Green of Advanced Global Partners has come on board with the government to assist in the implementation of this program. On this evening's Anupali, we will discuss the Entrepreneurship Visa Program and how it is expected to benefit the country. You're welcome to call in with your questions and suggestions. The numbers to call are 611-3400 and 225-3400. Again, good evening to all of you, and let me welcome my guest, Mr. Kenny Green. Welcome to Anupali, Kenny.
Good evening, PM. Thank you.
Happy to have you here. And I know normally people have many other things to do on this Sunday afternoon, and you have taken the time off to be here with me this evening to discuss this very important subject. Now, I understand that you were involved in backyard gardening, and then you gotten excited about it, having seen the bountiful of your backyard gardening, and now you move into commercial farming. Tell us about this.
Well, that's a surprise question.
Yeah. Well, once I hear people involved in farming, I get excited myself.
No, first of all, I'd like to say you'd be surprised the amount of people locally, entrepreneurs and otherwise, who have decided one way or the other to utilize, whatever resources they have and whatever capacity they have to be able to do farming. Yes, I think I'm relatively blessed. I have a large backyard, so to speak, larger than most. And so I've been testing what the options are for being able to do some farming. But it's a way off. I think the first part of it is to become involved in the infrastructure of farming, meaning understanding how it is to apply to be a farmer in the first place, which I've done, and also spending time looking at the crop fit for whatever space size of land that I have available. That's where I'm at right now. But it's mainly small crops in the interim. I want to grow into avocado and other larger tree crops, even exotics like mangosteen. And I think we have to pay tribute to all of the people who have come before us and have spent a lot of time researching and spending time, putting the hard work in to build farming as an industry.
Excellent. Well, I can always come and give you some technical assistance anytime you need.
I think that'll come hopefully some benefits and some real crops.
By the grace of God, anything I plant must grow and must bear fruit. And if I do plant it myself, I simply walk through the farm and I speak to the plants, so
That's funny.
and pass my hand over them so that they could grow and so on. But on a serious note, let's begin by defining what is the entrepreneurship visa program for the benefit of the listeners.
Okay. So it is, by all effects, a residence permit, which is granted after qualification through an investment in a local business or in a startup or in a joint venture in Dominica. And there has to be a qualification period after which it leads to naturalization after a period of 2 years. In many ways, it's what in the industry is called an RBI, a residence by investment.
Okay. Now, you have been appointed to advance this new initiative by myself as Prime Minister. You were chairman of the committee made up of different stakeholders. Can you tell the listeners what will be some of your responsibilities and duties in advancing this entrepreneurship visa program?
Well, the first thing is to be able to articulate what it is, what are the qualification standards, how it is going to be effected, how a company is going to apply and qualify, the documentation needed, and the supporting apparatus, because the supporting apparatus is going to be crucial in making this happen.
Now we have this CBI. We've had the CBI since 1993. That is the Citizenship by Investment Program. I'm sure people might be saying, but what is the difference between the CBI and this entrepreneurship visa program? Can you, for the benefit of the caller, of the listeners, tell us what are the main difference? What is the main difference between the CBI program and this new initiative, the entrepreneurship visa program?
Okay, so the CBI makes it makes no demand on the applicant for residency. So that's one of the reasons for their popularity. As you know, there are many different CBI programs in the world, over 40 at last count. And so therefore the fundamental difference is that as an RBI, the entrepreneur visa requires that the applicant spend substantial time in Dominica, 90 days and for each calendar year. And that, like other RBIs, means that the applicant has to become a resident here, has to become a consumer here, has to become lodged here. And that has a totally different impact. It's a different requirement, a totally different impact, and a different client as well.
I mean, we are fashioning the precise conditions, but how long would the person, you think, would have to stay here?
90 days every year, which is 3 months, which is 90 days is not coincidental because the OECD, as you know, sets standards for unfair tax practices, and 90 days does put us, over that threshold. And so, yes, that's going to be the applicable time.
Sure. Now, but so I hear this, they're going to be staying here for 90 days. It's a very important component because there are attendant benefits to this in terms of consumption. People may build their homes, or they may stay in hotels, in guest houses, rent vehicles or purchase new vehicles here, et cetera, et cetera. But what is the main objective of a program like this? Okay,
so that's an excellent question, PM. It's twofold. As you know, you as the Minister of Finance with that hat on, the government has put out many initiatives in terms of putting finance available at the aid bank and also encouraging financial institutions to produce or to provide aggressive terms for clients. But many very viable businesses have issues with having security and collateral. What this does is it adds grant finance at one level, and so that people can mitigate against their inability to have security. And at another level, as you mentioned earlier, it's going to have the participants in the program, the applicants, residing here, consuming here, actually interacting not just with business and consumers here, but with the country on a whole.
So these people would come in and invest in businesses there,
Correct.
existing or new businesses.
Correct. These businesses would be articulated in a qualifying platform. So they would have to apply.
Yeah.
And once they apply and they qualify, then they would be able to be available for investment, as well as the government would mandate specific sectors that investors can choose to invest in as their own businesses in ways to actually make sure that there's not a glut of particular business sectors.
So there are two main criteria. One, you have 90-day residence in Dominica every year. And secondly, you would have to invest some capital
Correct.
into a business.
Correct.
Okay, I will ask you a question about this later on,
Yes.
because certainly that's an important point in terms of the investments in existing or new businesses. Now, who do we intend to target under this program?
Okay, so COVID has kind of changed the equation slightly, but in fact it has continued the trend. Both higher net worth individuals and also entrepreneurs are looking for a second home. In the past, that second home tended to be in metropolitan countries, metropolitan cities. But now, a lot of what has happened in COVID and a lot of what has been, there's been a lead up to this in looking at the tax jurisdiction and looking at the quality of life. People are looking now at jurisdictions like in the Caribbean. And so therefore, that's a very significant factor in pursuing people who are looking for that second home, not just for the asset options and for their families, but for quality of life.
Because, I mean, I've had people who have inquired as to whether they could come to Dominica, bring their children in. Their children would follow the classes online from here. They would also work online from here. So these people would be able to be captured in this program.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Now, what are the proposed requirements, though? How would one qualify under this program?
Okay, so firstly, PM, there is going to be a structure akin to the CBI in terms of having approved local agents through which the applications take place. The applicants, of course, have to have clean police records, and they also have to have private health insurance.
So we will do the due diligence.
Correct. The other important factor is, which is different from the norm, is that they have to also invest an amount of money which they leave locally in a financial institution. They can deplete it during the 2 years, but they have to leave that amount of capital here. And the reason for that is to also have jurisdiction for their capital in Dominica to establish KYC, which is Know Your Customer for the banks.
Okay. And we have to also ensure that would ensure that these people do not become dependent on the state.
Correct.
So they can take care of themselves.
Correct.
Now, what about the length of time it would take for one's permit to be processed?
Well, we're looking for 45 days.
45 days.
The fastest in the world in terms of that process is the Tier 1 Investor Program in the UK, which is 10 days. We don't expect to be able to match that, but 45 days is a reasonable expectation.
Now, would the entrepreneur have to work at the local business, or?
Okay, that's another good question. There are 3 tiers to this. So in the initial tier, there is no obligation for the entrepreneur to work with the local business owner. It's effectively making an investment in a pool, which will then be assigned to the qualifying companies. However, a local business can ask for the entrepreneur to be introduced to them so that they can actually contribute in some form in terms of the knowledge base with that business. In terms of the other options, yes, they will be able to work locally, because in the other options, government will put forward a few sectors and business types. and the new investor would be able to open a new business in that sector, so therefore would be required to actually work and live here.
So that person would invest in an existing business or a new business owned by a Dominican citizen or resident. Can that applicant or that successful applicant set up his own business as well?
Yes, he can.
Okay.
Once he qualifies, yes, he can.
Now, I think people are interested. I know a lot of businesses are listening because many people send me WhatsApp messages, want to get to know about this. Mm-hmm. The person invests in a business A. Does that person become an owner, part owner, or shareholder in that company he invests?
No, he doesn't. No. He becomes a shareholder owner, an equity owner in the other two options. In the option B, where he's doing a new startup in a mandated sector by the government, obviously he has majority ownership because it's his business and he's put in a minimum of finance as mandated by the government.
So he has no control in
Correct,
interest.
in option
he doesn't
A.
sit on the board?
No.
Okay. But if the business owner, you say that if the business owner wants that person to be part of the board and so on,
correct,
then it is fine above and beyond the minimum required investment.
Correct.
Then that person could invest separately in terms of equity or even a loan to the company. And
yes, correct. That would have to be a choice of the business owner.
But yeah, it won't be a condition.
No, it won't.
Of the program.
The reason for that, PM, just so you can understand,
yeah,
or for your viewers to understand, is because the residence permit is a 2-year qualification period before naturalization.
Yeah.
Lots of things can happen in that time. In the other two options, they will have the equity ownership because they obviously will have made a larger investment and equity is part of the actual setup of those platforms. In that initial option, what you don't want is for someone who disqualifies for some reason or does not meet the standards in the second year, leaves and has an equity ownership in a business which might compromise it.
Now, we are able to take your calls. The numbers to call, 225-3400 and 611-3400. 225-3400 and 611-3400. Okay, Kenny. Now, after making that investment, we're talking about the issue of the investment. So you invest in one, can the person invest in more than one company?
After they do their initial investment, yes, they can.
Yeah.
However, that is caveated that they can't go and invest in sectors, for example, that would not be mandated in option 2 because that would be a loophole.
Yeah. So, I mean, if let's say the required investment is $10
mm-hmm,
and the small business only needs 5,
mm-hmm,
can that be split?
Yes.
In between 2 companies?
Yes, it can.
Yeah.
To prepare an application to say, I would like to be listed as one of the companies who are eligible for finance. And at the same time, the applications from the applicants also come through that investment committee. And so they can decide to marry the two at any point in time from a request from either party.
Now, will this program be open? Okay, caller, please. Hello?
Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening to you.
Good evening. I'm sorry to call you on this matter. You know, it's not to do with your investment.
Yeah.
But we've got an old dump truck that's been sitting in Margaret Gap for about a number of years.
Yeah.
Trees are going in it.
Yeah.
You had the road resurfaced. The fellow couldn't resurface. They had to go around it.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, I'm aware of this, sir. I was in Margaret's Gap last week, I believe.
Yeah.
So I have given instructions that we should get this truck out. Okay.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I have asked that we remove it. Yes, sir.
And have a good evening.
You too, my friend. All the best.
Bye.
Good. Yeah, this is it's a truck in Margaret's Gap, very close to a friend of mine, Ms. Thomas, who incidentally will be 99 years on the 8th of September.
Wow.
So it really needs to get out. Now, I was asking whether this program is open to all local businesses.
Yes, it is. I mean, obviously, again, there are conditionalities, one of them being that they need to be at least 1 year old, and also that there will be some flexibility with that, I assume, and the other being that they have to be up to date with their taxes or at least have an agreement with on arrears with Inland Revenue.
And of course, registered.
A registered business.
The Social Security compliant.
Correct.
And
the applications for the local companies will be almost similar for them applying for finance at a local finance institution. They have to come with their business plan, they have to come with their cash flow forecast, they have to be able to look forward thinking to what are they going to do with that money and how they're going to sustain it.
Now, people are listening to this and they're saying, well, somebody's coming in through a government program, invest in my business. Is it going to be a loan? Is it going to be a grant? Is it going to be, as we indicated, equity? To be clear, for the avoidance of
doubt.
Any doubt, and or rather for greater clarity, is this going to be a loan from the government or from the investor to this participating company?
No, it won't. It is there are 3 tiers. The first tier will be a tier where it's a grant made into the pool, which will be invested in each of the qualifying companies. The second tier will be a startup where it is an investment because the new investor will be investing in a new sector. So if, for example, government says, we do not have a recycling plant in Dominica, so we would like a recycling plant as one of the sectors to invest in, then the new investor can invest in a recycling plant and can have his own investor and share setup.
I'm going to ask you a follow-up question to this, a supplementary question, but let me get a call, please. Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Okay. Are you dealing with sensitive topic?
Excuse me?
Are you dealing with a sensitive topic too?
Yeah, we do have a particular topic tonight, yes. But do you have a question or something? Something else? What do you want to tell me?
Yes. I would like you to help me. I am getting a little information in relation to the loan for the small business people.
Okay.
At Edmond.
Okay.
Because it has been a month and 6 weeks.
Okay, we'll take
it.
Okay, my friend. We have your number, so we'll make sure that we make a connection for you at the Aid Bank, okay? All right, thank you. Now, so this is not a loan.
No, it isn't.
And it is not equity.
No, it isn't.
So it is a grant investment into the business, providing financial support, financial investment into that business. But will there be conditions though on this company? So we don't have a situation where somebody comes in and invests $100,000 in a company, and that person runs over to St. Martin or Guada or Guadeloupe, and so on. Will there be conditions in terms of accountability?
Yes, there will. That's the reason why the application process will be, as I said, akin to a loan for a financial institution.
Okay.
You need to have all of your
so there will be
relevant
conditions, the application process, and
the investment committee can grant a company to be qualifying, but have conditionalities when they receive finance. So they can state that, for example, they want to have an accountant or an auditor as another signee. They can say that they're going to give the the investment in different installments, and they can actually also mandate that the business employ or work with specific consultants who are going to help them given any concern that they might have with their ability to sustain the business.
No, so there'll be an investment committee.
Correct.
That would sift through the applications from the local businesses to be registered.
Correct.
And will make a determination on which business would meet the requirements for that investment.
Correct.
And those companies will be listed, or they will,
Correct. It has to be very transparent.
Okay. So there'll be a website, it'll be listed on the website.
Correct.
What you involve in.
Correct.
etc.
And it will be an annual process where the applicable companies every year would be listed,
Sure.
and when they receive the finance, they'll be taken off the list.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Caller, please. Hello. Yes, that's you speaking to Skerrit. Yes, Prime Minister. Yes.
Yes, to the Prime Minister, please.
Yes, go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Can the Prime Minister call me after the program, please?
All right. All right. We have
Can the
it.
Prime Minister call me after the program, please?
Okay, we'll take your number and I will endeavor to give you a call after the program. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, is there an opportunity for a path to naturalization as well for this?
Yes, correct. So all RBIs depend on the residence process to then qualify for naturalization, meaning for citizenship at the end of that period. So with ours, it's 2 years, 90 days per year, though most people will spend more than a minimum amount of time. And then at the end of that period, you make an application for naturalization.
Okay.
Yes.
But you must meet the 90-day.
You must meet the 90-day residency
every year.
In both years.
Both years.
So you can do it in 1 year, and then in the second year you satisfy it, and then you apply for the naturalization. You'll be declined.
And this 90 days don't have to be at one time.
No, it doesn't have to be contiguous. You can
be
spread it out through the year to 1 week a month every year.
Yeah. Now, you indicated that we'll have agents, so there'll be authorized agents similar to the CBI. So somebody who's applying to become a citizen under the CBI program, you go through a registered agent. The agents are listed on the CBI unit's page on the website. But can somebody apply on his own?
No, they can't. They have to go through an authorized agent.
You must go for that.
That is the standard globally. It won't change.
Yeah.
And it's particularly important in this case for the local agents to be local and be involved because the people are spending time here.
I'll come to the local agent. Now, caller, please.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, sir.
Under this new visa investment institute, do you have a registry of potential businesses, let's say, if a person from the international circuit can come? For instance, you have the toilet paper factory, which I understand looking for new impetus. Do you have a registry of all these sort of businesses so that the people wanting to invest in the visa program, under this program, can actually tap in from abroad and get the information?
Yes, caller. There will be a register, and it will be up on the website once these arrangements are finalized. So there'll be a list of companies that would have gone through the application process, qualified, approved, and then placed on the website as requiring or want to be part of this investment, as Mr. Green is indicating. So the simple answer to your question is yes. That will be done. Now we're speaking about local agents. So all of the agents under this program will be citizens and residents of Dominica.
Correct.
With an established office presence in Dominica.
Correct. And it's very important because unlike the CBI, with the RBI, with the entrepreneur visa, with people here, they're going to need to be connected to a number of resources. Remember, these people will not know Dominica and they will be residing here. They'll need to get a house. They'll need to rent or to buy a property. They'll want to go out to dinner. They'll want to go on excursions. They'll want a doctor. They'll want a school for their children. So there are a number of things that will require someone with local knowledge to be able to assist and to guide them on.
Now, you apply, you you get approval. Sorry, there's a caller. Hello, please.
Hello. Hello. Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Okay, PM and your guest. I'd like to ask a question. I have a business since 1990, but soon after the hurricane, I have closed down because of financial difficulties, but I'm still continuing to pay my license. I'd like to know if this avenue can enable my business to benefit from this scheme that you all are talking about.
Kenny, you want to respond to the caller?
Yes, they would have to apply.
Apply.
I think in the application you'd have to give, normally you'd have a business plan. You can, in an executive summary, give the reasoning why you believe your company should apply and qualify for the program. So I don't think there'll be any prejudice because it's a new program. There won't be prejudice attached to new applicants or applicants who are applying from companies who, in your case, may need discretion.
Yeah. Because in his case, he has a business, but for some financial challenges, his business is closed down for a while.
And you'll have that. Someone talked about the toilet paper factory. There may be other companies that are viable, but for the lack of finance. And so they have to put their applications forward and then put them in the right tier. The amount for the lowest tier may not be enough as a grant, may not be enough for some of these businesses. So they may have to go in at the highest tier, which is the joint venture, at which point they have to be prepared to give up equity. I think, to be honest, most of the applications will come in at the lowest tier because it's the easiest and the fastest. I also think in the middle tier, there will be opportunities for new companies, and there may be discretion to say that if an existing company is, for example, like the paper factory, is in need of finance and someone is coming in and is willing to invest in that sector, that they be allowed to do so.
Okay. So it allows for a wide spectrum of consideration.
Correct.
Right. Now, you apply, you qualify, you invest, you stay here for some time, you have your visa. Can that visa be revoked?
At any time.
And under what conditions do you believe that it could be revoked?
Yes, I mean, criminal activity is the standard. Misrepresentation of your application. So you would have made an application and made certain statements and assertions, and some of these be found out as being untrue. The good thing about a visa is that it is easily revocable by the government because obviously the conditions that go with it govern its status.
So as we indicated, we follow in a similar process like the CBI.
Correct.
So there's an application form, you give information, the form says, if you fail to give, if you give wrong information or inaccurate information or false information,
correct,
then your citizenship can be revoked. You go for the due diligence. But in this world, there's nothing as a foolproof system, so you always have situations and so forth. And in the case of the CBI, if you apply and later down we find that you gave us false information, your citizenship can be revoked, and we've had a couple of situations like this in Dominica. So your citizenship can be revoked, and likewise, the visa can be revoked if it comes out tomorrow that the information you gave us yesterday was false. Caller, please. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. Can you call me after the program, please?
No, I can't promise people everybody can call them back because, I don't make promises I cannot keep. But we'll take your number and we'll see if we can make contact with you. Okay? Now, this is not the only program we're not trying to go on Jupiter here.
No.
So there are countries that have similar programs. Can you tell the listening public some of the countries with similar type programs?
Well, first of all, we'll be unique. We're the only one who are going to have these tiers, especially the grand tier, in the way that we have.
Okay, so we're going to have tiers. So
yes. However, if we look at the most recent example of an RBI, that would be Anguilla. Anguilla have an RBI for the last couple of years now that results in qualification for British citizenship. The more popular ones include Portugal, Malta has one, Greece has one, Thailand, Malaysia, and there are other derivatives. I note recently that Barbados did work from home. That is more of a response to COVID. Ours isn't. It's more of a longer term strategy that has been put together. But what is important is that there is a market of people looking for a second home and looking to invest in countries where they feel they're not only going to be investing in a citizenship or in a transient process, but they are looking to remain and to be part of our solution.
Now, so these countries that which have this program, so can you tell us some of the successes? I mean, have this program been successful?
The one thing to note, they've been very successful. The one thing to note about RBIs is that some of them have been too successful. The Greek one is a good example in that you've had too many applicants. So what you tend to find is that you set quotas. And I believe that may be something we will have to consider here, is that you set quotas, because the numbers for an RBI will be much less than a CBI, but you still want to be able to create value by making it restricted. So yes, the Anguilla program is too young. The Portuguese program is very well known. Malta, I mean, the owner, for example, of Digicel, Dennis O'Brien, is a resident of Malta, even though the businesses are all in the Caribbean.
Sure.
So there are successes.
Yeah. A caller, please. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. Go ahead, please.
Is this the Anipali program?
Yes, sir.
So am I talking to?
Yes, you were talking to the host of Anupali, Roosevelt Skerrit.
Oh, okay, Mr. Thank you for I've been trying you for the. Can you please, if you cannot
Sure, no problem, my friend. We shall do that, okay? If you don't hear from me, you'll hear from somebody else on my behalf. Okay? Yeah, I have so many people to go and visit, senior citizens, I have a whole list of across the country. And I think I may have to take about 2 weeks completely off from my office to go out and see them. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue this very important discussion on the Entrepreneurship Visa Program, a program which we believe, if properly implemented, can redound to the benefit to the economy, creation of jobs, sustaining existing businesses, and revamping businesses for one reason or another which have had to cease operations and so forth. We're very excited about this and making good progress, and we want to thank Kenny Green for his leadership and guidance in that regard. We'll take a break and we shall come back in 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
The COVID-19 virus is transmitted between people through close contact and droplets. Masks can help stop the spread of coronavirus, not just by protecting you, but by protecting you from spreading the virus by breathing and spitting germs everywhere. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment recommends that everyone wears a face mask in public. But masks do not make you invincible. They can't replace good hygiene. Listen and watch nurse and health educator Sabrina Bernard as she demonstrates the proper ways to put on a face mask.
First, wash your hands with soap and water or hand sanitizer before touching the mask, but preferably hand washing. Ensure there are no obvious tear or holes in either sides of the mask. Place one side of the elastic loop around your ear. Hold the mask away from your face. Bring the mask across and place the elastic loop around the other ear. Use your index finger and thumb to pinch the small metal to form the shape of your nose. Pull the bottom of the mask to open the folds of the mask to cover your mouth and chin. Now we are going to look at how to remove the mask. First, wash your hands with soap and water or hand sanitizer before touching the mask. Avoid touching the front of the mask because the front of the mask is contaminated. Hold one of the elastic loops and gently lift it from your ear. Bring the mask away from your face. Hold the elastic loop and gently lift it from behind of the other ear. Place the both elastic loop together and throw in a waste bin.
Welcome back. We are speaking to Mr. Kenny Green of Advanced Global Partners on the Entrepreneurship Visa Program. Of course, you're welcome to call. The number is 611-3400 and 225-3400. Now, we do not screen the calls which come into this program. We try to take all calls which come in to this program. But let us try to stick to the subject while my guest is on. I will be alone maybe for the remainder of 30 minutes or 40 minutes of the program, and so you could call to ask me any question on any subject matter during this 30-40 minutes period. Now, Kenny, we're talking about the agents, and so will there be any restrictions on who could become an agent?
Well, typically there's an application process for the agents as well. You tend to find that the agents tend to be advocates, people who deal with cases like these tend to be lawyers and consultants. But there'll be an application process that will have no prejudice. So everybody will be able to apply. There is a bond that will be applied just like in the CPI, which will have to be paid a license every year. But apart from that and their experience in dealing with high net worth individuals or individuals applying for that process, there will be no prejudice applied otherwise.
Now, we have a WhatsApp question asking, is there a minimum investment amount and a maximum investment amount?
Okay, so the way the tiers are, and bear in mind that there is a working group that is still formulating the final submission for approval for legislation. In the initial submission, the tier 1, which is the grant, is the minimum investment amount is $50,000 US. What you will tend to find is that people will make the minimum investment amount, so they will not go above that if that is the requirement. The tier 2, which is where you invest in a mandated sector that you are making that sector as a new business owner yourself, is $100,000 US minimum. And tier 3, where you are doing a joint venture either with a significant mandated private sector or government project, there is no minimum and there is no maximum because it will be dependent on the financing needs of the project.
Caller, please. Hello.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. PM.
Yes, good evening to you.
Good evening, Kenny. What's up?
Good evening.
Okay, and good evening to your listeners. Mr. PM, I had a girl come and talk to me last week, right? She told me that she's renting a place.
Well, my brother, let us...
And the problem now...
Hello?
She has owing for...
Hello? Yeah, this is not... let us find another medium to communicate that message, please. Now, Kenny, this program is being launched to generate economic benefits to Dominica. How do you see the program contributing to the economic growth of Dominica, especially at a time when every country in the world, Dominica included, is so dramatically impacted by this COVID-19, and recognizing that, this challenge is going to be with us for a couple of years to come?
The impact is real. The Grenadian economist, Michael Julian, who is someone I've spent a lot of time speaking to and listening to, once stated that it takes roughly 200 new residents in any Eastern Caribbean countries to replicate the effect of the entire stay-over tourism market. We cannot underestimate the value of people who become resident and consume locally. So in the first year, it really is, it's a process of identifying the right clients, not in getting volumes, but whether we get 50 or 100 people, they will be significant contributors to the economy. And it is something that I'm looking forward to because, I know what it is like to have lived abroad and to have moved back to Dominica in my case, but there's a lot of consuming, a lot of spending, and that is not something to not just look forward to, but it is something that we can plan to.
Yeah. Now, we're launching this program in the midst of this COVID-19 with its attendant economic uncertainty. Do you believe from your own investigation and the intelligence that you've been able to gather out there that this program will be able to resonate among investors during this uncertain period?
That's a very good question again, PM. I think it will resonate because the health management of COVID now becomes an identifiable factor for people who are looking at the countries who have the least cases, looking for the countries that offer a good quality life and simply need the connectivity to either their businesses or their families outside of the Caribbean, but are willing to be able to do business as usual whilst they're located here. So yes, it's going to resonate with quite a few people. What they're going to demand or they're going to ask is to understand what infrastructure is there to support them once they arrive here.
We have another caller, please. Hello?
Yeah, turn down the TV because we Hello?
Hello, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, sir. Prime Minister and Kenny.
Yeah.
Really impressed with yet another program to try and bring in money and development in Dominica. Mr. Green mentioned a similar type project in different parts of the world and even mentioned Barbados with their long-stay visitor program to work at home. So with respect, I think that has particular resonating value for Dominica if we tweak it a little bit. And I'm hoping because it helps directly filling guest house and hotel rooms in Dominica where people who are locked down instead of working in London can come to a nice island like Dominica themselves or with their family, have a special visitor visa for 6 months or 12 months and be able to work from this island. And as Kenny said, they're spending money in all kinds of ways, and in weekends they can explore Dominica. So I hope I get the opportunity to discuss that in a little more detail, sir.
Sure.
Thank you very much for your good, outstanding work, sir.
Sure, thank you very much. And of course, anybody who has suggestions on how they believe that the program can work and how it can be improved, or any inquiries you may have, we'll certainly, very soon the committee will be made public and Kenny and his team will roll out a consultative process, an agenda, so that the public will be engaged in this, and hoping that we can finalize the consultation and get the program going on. Now, Kenny, I mean, we have, one of the things I believe that we have to guard against is that we do not have an over-concentration of investments in one area. And one of the things that I'm hoping that we can do is to ensure that we can, so for example, we can decide, okay, well, let us target Portsmouth for this year, for the first 6 months of the year, and look at the businesses in Portsmouth we can invest in, or the Carnago territory, or Granby, for example. Look at the businesses that are there. You have many entrepreneurs down there, or in Marigot, and so is it something that the committee is going to be looking at and to recommend to the Minister of Finance?
Certainly, but even beyond that, I think we also have to look at not prejudicing ourselves on sectors as well.
Sectors, yeah.
Because, for example, the creative industries, they need support as well. You know, we have a burgeoning musical industry. We have a lot of artists here. You know, we have companies and firms who are trying to do videography and film. So that's, we're going to need to diversify.
And these are groups which normally have challenges with the financial institutions.
Correct. So 50,000 US into any of these businesses will be a huge boon for them. So that's a big factor. But most importantly, they have to go through the process. And I don't want anyone to think that whilst, you know, we're trying to make sure that everybody gets a piece of the pie, that they don't honor the process, because the process is important.
Important, yeah. Now, we have a WhatsApp question. It says, in Tier 1, can a business have more than one investor to its business when the individuals choose the minimum amount to invest?
No, because it's essentially you're going to have many. It's a many-to-one relationship. You really, once a company gets chosen to have the investment done, they're one and done.
So one-time investment.
One-time investment, and they're done. We want to give as many companies a chance. We have to again set a limit annually for the amount of companies which will be chosen, and every year there'll be a new list chosen, with the caveat that some companies will be allowed to roll over if they do not meet the standards for qualification, or that there are not enough investors to have invested in their company.
And as you indicate, so let's take a call and come back to the supplementary question. Yes, hello?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Good evening, PM. What's up?
Very well. What about you?
I'm good.
Oh, good.
I just called to tell you hello.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Sure.
Bye.
Thank you. God bless you, okay? Thank you very much. Now, if, as you indicated earlier, this investor makes the minimum investment in this one company, but the program does not preclude him or her from having an equity partners, equity investment in this business. So if you have this business where you invest, let's say, $50,000 into it, but that particular investor likes the kind of project or investment that this person is involved in, he can invest further into it.
Yes, he can. I mean, he can make a request to be able to make further inroads into the company and actually have a relationship with them. And that is a good question, because if the investor is coming to Dominica, has chosen the Tier 1 to start, and has decided, okay, I'm going to make the minimum amount of investment, 50,000 US, and it goes into Brown's chocolate confectionery, for example, making chocolate. He can say, you know what, since I'm going to be here beyond the 2 years, I'd like to actually invest further in that business, and he can be introduced to them. But it does not mean that the business owner will automatically agree. So that is one of the things that we have to cater for, which is the fact that it's a market, freedom of market choice, and that even though that the grant has been made by that investor, it gives him no priority from the owner point of view to say yes to further investment.
So what are the major benefits, though, that should attract entrepreneurs to apply under this program?
Well, first of all, there is the fact that they're going to be applying for the process through that path. So it's an entry into the naturalization process. And so that's going to attract them. Secondly, you have the fact that, you know, after those two years, not only will they become a citizen, but their assets will be safe in Dominica. That's a big factor. Dominica is still one of the safest, financially safe countries. I mean, most people don't know, for example, in other banks across the world, when there's economic problems, most people lose the bulk of their savings and deposits. I mean, in the UK, you only have insurance for the first £80,000 of your money. For investors, that scares them, you know, especially if they've got large deposits. So Dominica is a safe jurisdiction. And I think that safety, the fact that, you know, with your guidance, the health, the hospital and the health clinics are due to be completed, and the impending international airport. Those are signals for people to be able to take an investment or take a chance on Dominica.
Sure, thank you. Caller, please.
Good night, PM.
Hi, good night to you.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
How is the family?
Family's fine.
Okay, PM, I need to talk to you. No, I don't want to talk to you on here about certain things, but I need to talk to you.
Okay.
When I can see you, I can talk to you, please.
All right, we have a number, so we'll call you, okay? We'll call you. I promise we'll give you a call this evening, okay? And of course, in respect to the benefits to local businesses, what are the major benefits there?
Well, for them, for the tier one, I mean, when we looked at the local businesses, in some cases, the capacity to absorb 50,000 US, I mean, it's a big deal for many small local businesses who are on the brink of doing something but cannot get that money, because right now the banks are asking for one-to-one securitization versus the finance. No matter how attractive the interest rates are, that is a blow for many smaller local businesses. So in essence, they're going to get a true access to capital, and that's a big deal. At the higher levels, when people are resident here, we can't underestimate again the value of residence and consumption locally. These people, whether they're going to be investing in a new business or a joint venture or otherwise, once their families and themselves are here, are going to consume, and the goods and services that they're consuming will be local.
Now, under different circumstances, these investments, the 50,000 US dollars, whatever we finally agree to, this would normally be government's funds.
Correct.
But the government is taking a decision, instead of it keeping the funds for itself,
Correct.
it is allowing it to be invested into existing businesses.
Correct.
To create jobs and access to financing for
Correct.
so many small businesses.
Correct.
We have a caller, please. Caller, please. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening to you.
Georgiana Felix from Port Michel.
Oh, you, my friend.
Just calling you to say hello and call it. Don't let go.
Thank you very much. Nice hearing your voice.
And then Mattia had the day was on the 19th.
On the 19th of August? Oh, man. Okay. Sure. We'll take note of that, okay? Yeah.
That's a good question.
Thank you very much. Kenny, when you have so many senior citizen friends, you feel blessed, so I'm always touched by so many senior citizen friends I have across Dominica. We have a question there from WhatsApp. It says, I have an existing business and looking to enhance my service, but I'm having difficulty getting professional help to prepare a business plan. Will this program have an area where these services will be provided to potential businesses?
Yes, basically what will happen is that service providers for what we call ancillary services. So for example, the biggest needs are business plans, accounting training, accounting like QuickBooks training, and other services that will help prepare a business, both for the application process and in many cases beyond the application process. They will also be able to be listed once they are approved by the investment committee.
Okay. So it is not the investor who will decide, I want to invest in this, or I want to allocate 50,000 to this business.
No.
It will be the investment committee.
Correct.
That will make a determination.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Good. Now, so we like to launch this program when?
Well, that depends on the submission to Cabinet, which is going to happen over the next few weeks, and then the going to legislation, because the naturalization, the citizenship has to be adapted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Caller, please.
Yes, PM. Yes, that's PM. PM, that's John.
How are you?
I never PM like your papa.
All right.
PM, I stressed out.
You stressed out? You mustn't make anything you have no control over stress, George. Be like me. But I will contact you from my aunt, okay? All right, that's my friend there, a long time. Known her for a very long time. Now, Kenny, a lot of people do not know you, but you have a vast network and, you travel across the world and so on. I mean, we made this announcement in the budget address in August. I mean, have you had any interest shown?
Yes, I mean, there have been groups who are looking to come to Dominica. There's two parts to this. There's some people who want to come first to have a look, and then there are other people who are willing to jump in right away. So there's interest. I think the biggest qualitative factor has been Dominica's handling of COVID. We cannot again underestimate, once again I use that word, the value of positive imagery and positive messaging outwards to people who want to come and visit and also to live here.
That's it, and we're going back to school tomorrow, which is a major achievement, recognizing that so many countries are still, schools will be shut.
Yes,
shut for
many
the rest
countries
of the year.
are still shut.
Yeah. We have a call, please, caller.
Hello. Hello, good night, PM.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
Fine.
I'm glad to hear your voice. I'm watching you there.
Nice to hear your voice too.
I'm calling from Guadeloupe.
Guadeloupe. How is
Okay.
how is Guadeloupe? How is Guadeloupe these days? And so,
Well, we are just there.
there's some challenges there.
And, okay.
Yeah.
And may God bless you and your family, and your family.
God bless you
For
too.
your good works.
Thank you, and of course, God bless
Okay.
the wonderful people of Guadeloupe, and the new mayor of Pointe-à-Pitre, my friend. So we're looking to launch this year.
Yes.
And to get it going, I think it's a major interest there for so many small businesses, and access to financing, as you know better than me as a business person, is so critical.
Yes.
Any final words, Kenny?
No, I just want to...
Before you go, can the investor invest in social organizations or just businesses? I suspect maybe some social organization asking that question.
That's a good question. Right now, it is set up for private sector organizations, and you could argue that a social organization would fall under it, but the priority has to be on businesses that are employing people and generating activity locally. However, if, for example, there is a foundation that needs assistance and has an impact locally, it could be cancer, it could be child abuse, it could be domestic violence.
You have chances, you have Operation Youthquake, you have House of Hope in Dailies.
I can't prejudice because I won't be sitting on the investment committee, so they will make that decision.
But it's a point that we may want to take note of and see whether you can give consideration to. Phone call, please.
Yes, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I was just wondering whether Mr. Green has considered putting together a marketing menu for the program, whether in fact funds have been set aside for marketing the program.
Sure. A very good question. Thank you, caller. Please.
Well, yes, that is what my company's responsibility is. It is to market the program. So there is going to be a global marketing program concentrating on, the family wealth companies, the tax companies, the high net worth conferences. This is not an unknown field, so to speak. It's a familiar industry. What is unfamiliar is Dominica being a player. And we're going to be the first country in the Eastern Caribbean with such a program, and the only country, I think, in the Caribbean with an entrepreneur-focused program, which with direct investment into the private sector.
Right, and we do not expect this to compete with the CBI,
No. There's very little chance because the two audiences are totally different. The people who partake in the CBI do not want to be residents. And the people who will be participating in this program want to be residents. So there's a fundamental difference between the two.
And of course, under the CBI, we've had people relocate.
Correct.
So there's Dominican citizens who have relocated as well. Caller, please.
Good night, PM.
Hi, good evening to you.
I need you to give me a call. I'm trying to get you folks since last year and I can't get
Wow,
you.
that's a long time. Okay. Well, we have your number. We'll take note of that, darling, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. And of course, so I mean, we're going to have people staying there for 90 days. Just please reiterate to the listening public, because there's a lot of interest in the, what you think, just to reiterate the benefits of this, you believe how do you apply, how do you qualify?
The application process will be denoted through the agents and through the website, so it will be clear. In terms of the qualification, the applicants themselves will have to have private health insurance, they'll have to have a clean police record, and they will also have to be able to meet the standards in terms of the investment totals that they have to be able to invest. They have to be able to leave a deposit in Dominica at a financial institution for the duration of time. They can deplete it from elsewhere, so as they travel, they can use the money that they've deposited in National Bank of First Caribbean, but it has to be deposited during the duration of the application. And they also have to make an investment in one of the tiers, 50,000 US in tier 1 for the grant, 100,000 minimum for a new startup business mandated in the sectors that the government defines, and whatever total is needed for them to be a joint venture partner in a private sector mandated business or a public sector project that the government allows them to.
Excellent. A phone call, please. Hello? You've missed this call? Okay, sorry about this. Now, a WhatsApp question is, can entrepreneurs who are citizens living abroad invest into a business in Dominica, or can they bring the business to Dominica in order to create more jobs and opportunity?
Yes, I mean, the second one applies to, in particular, to tier 2, where they would come into a new business sector. And that is something that, the government, I would assume, would want to attract, is new business activity in Dominica. I would caveat it, Prime Minister, as the Minister of Finance, I think after the first year in particular of this is going to put some demands on your tax policy, for corporate tax and other taxes in general. But it's a good problem to have if you have increased revenue and demands from new tax residents.
Sure. Phone call, please. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. PM.
Hi. Good evening to you.
Apparently, with you and your guest, I would like to have a private discussion with you about the matter. Can you call back at this number, please?
Sure. Okay. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're in demand.
No, huge demand. So let us move to having this lunch quickly, because I believe that there are huge benefits from this. I know we've spoken about this for a couple of years now, but I guess everything happened at one time.
Yeah.
I'm very keen on this, because I can see especially in this period, businesses need access to financing, and so it has my fullest of support. And we can see the benefits in terms of stayover visitors, the consumption as indicated that will take place. People may eventually even move permanently in some cases. We're about to end this segment of the program. Yes. I will allow you the opportunity to give some closing remarks on this program.
I think this is a great opportunity for us. We are going to be leading, as I said, in the Caribbean in this initiative, and I expect to see copycats from now on. I think people need to also prepare themselves for success. In other words, look at the standards of the accommodations, look at the services that you have, the things that you provide, and look towards being able to offer those services to people who are going to demand a standard that we are not normally used to locally. So prepare yourselves, because when it comes, you do not want to be left behind.
So we really have to step up to the
Correct.
game.
Yes.
Because there are people from all regions who will be coming in here, and people of varied financial background.
Correct.
And they come with certain demands and certain expectations. So it's an opportunity for us to really push ourselves and to prepare ourselves, as you quite rightly say. That let us prepare now for tomorrow. Kenny, I want to thank you for all your efforts there, and I also want to say to the public, not only in this case that we're partnering with yourself, in your capacity as the president, immediate past president of the DIC. I believe that the relationship between the government and the DIC has certainly been elevated, and it has been very constructive engagement. We not always agree because private sector people like no tax, myself too, but I think we're able to look at broader things beyond the same things that we've been looking at. And I also appreciate the fact that you have become a positive advocate for Dominica, with international agencies, regional agencies, and even governments. And these things are important, that we recognize that, yes, we're representing a local organization, but we must not lose sight of the fact that we're Dominicans first. And we have to work together towards the advancement of Dominican. And I think you're an exemplary person in terms of how you see yourself and your contribution in business here, and also helping the country even outside of our country, which is so important. And so we're very grateful for your guidance on this initiative, and we have no doubt we shall be successful as a country.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. We will take a short break, and I'll come back for the second part of the program, or the final part of the program, sorry.
Yes, I forgot to tell you.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment urges all individuals to observe respiratory etiquette to prevent the spread of infectious diseases like COVID-19. The principles of respiratory etiquette are simple. To tell you how to prevent the spread of infection, here's nurse and health educator Sabrina Bernard.
Well, welcome back, and thank you for being part of this yet another Anupali episode. An opportunity for us to engage ourselves as citizens and residents of the country on very important matters of concern to all of us. And of course, we just concluded the discussion on the entrepreneurship visa program. It's a new program for us, the first in the OECS, hopefully. And we believe that if it's properly implemented, there could be huge benefits to job creation, the sustaining of jobs, poverty alleviation, growth in the economy, creating wealth for our citizens and business people. And so I'm very keen on this. And of course, what we have tried to do in the budget address of this year is to initiate a number of programs and projects, all get towards stimulating the economy, all get towards creating jobs, expanding the economy, and seeking to survive in this very difficult and challenging period. We see what's happening across the world, and of course, the World Health Organization has indicated that this coronavirus is going to be with us for the next 2 years. So We do not know what tomorrow will bring. But we have to prepare for any eventualities, and this is what we're doing. As a government, as a country, we have to continue to do so. It is not an easy road. You know, under normal circumstances, it's challenging. Far more under abnormal circumstances, and we can only pray to God that we can see this period through. You know, and with people not having jobs in the source markets, traveling is not as frequent and regular as it would be in numbers. You know, so we just have to be grateful that we have life, and once we have life and we live to see another day, then we can fight. We can fight on, we can press on, and that's for us is the most important thing. And we don't have to. We have to avoid the complaining. You know, as I say, let us see the glass half full rather than half empty, and let us see ourselves through. Before I go on, I would like to extend my sincere and condolences to Mrs. Terence Laville of Lower Penville and the family on the passing of your husband. You know, a very good friend of mine. But I shall be with you, and we shall be with you during this difficult period now and in the future. And of course, I want to big up my guys in Lower Penville who I had the opportunity to greet yesterday during my visit to Lower Penville, and to the youngsters who helped me clean my yard. You know, my yard was, you know, I had so many things to do in my yard, and my boys from Vegas came to help me very nicely, and did a fantastic job. We're going back to school tomorrow. Tomorrow, school. There's some schools and some classes will recommence after a long physical break from the classrooms. I know that there are anxieties among parents and guardians and students, and this is expected. But I believe everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. It's a bold step. It's a very important move by the government and Ministry of Education. From all the reports from the minister and the staff and myself speaking to several principals across Dominica, that they are satisfied that we have things generally under control and in place. Obviously, there will always be some teething problems, you know, and challenges, and we just have to keep practicing and keep doing it so that we can have it perfected. You know, we have to follow the guidelines. The Ministry of Education has given a whole booklet and guidelines for bus drivers, for conductors, for principals, and for teachers, and for parents, and for students. And we just need to follow these guidelines. Once we follow the guidelines, you know, we're making a huge positive contribution to staving off this virus in our country. And so we look forward to a very exciting time for us, and we look forward to the reopening of school. Education is important, schools are important, and I know so many of our parents were challenged because you had to be at work, your children at home, you had to maybe pay somebody to care for the children while you're at home, at work. You know, and of course, when children are home, they eat 10 times more than they would eat when they're at school. So I know your food bill was dramatically increased during this COVID period, and so I'm happy. I know that many of you are happy that your children are going to school, and look forward to this. So let us just work together. You know, the more we work together, you know, the better off we'll be, you know, and we can't be pulling here and pulling over there. Let us all either pull to the center or consolidate our benefits and our gains rather than pull in different directions and no one benefits. So these are our children. Let us send them off with a positive view that they'll be okay, and let us continue to provide the guidance and the guidelines to them so that they can certainly do well at school in the midst of this global pandemic. As you know, we have 4 cases here in Dominica of COVID-19. The Ministry of Health continues to advise us to adhere to the protocols. I know it is a hassle for many of us coming to Dominica and being at the airports, and we have to wait for the services sometimes. But, you know, we just have to be extremely patient and understanding. We're doing this for your benefit and for the benefit of your of your family and the community. You know, this is a matter we have to contend with and we have to live with. You know, and I empathize with the challenges that some of you have gone through, and I understand this. But we have to stick to it for the time being. Is a caller, please? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I have a couple of questions for the Prime Minister.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, Mr. Prime Minister, I want to commend you for the position you've taken on the land fees, right? Reducing the transfer fees, the lawyers' fees. However, I have one problem with this. The fees that someone pays to an attorney for services should not be based on value of the property. The work does not change from one property to the next in terms of value. I would like to think the court has forms that are standardized, and then the attorney fills in the appropriate information, and that work does not differ from one property to the other. So the work is the same. So attorneys should not be charging based on value, because right now with the incentive, they have an incentive to inflate value along with the appraisers to get higher fees. So that is something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Okay.
Another thing, I have a question for you in terms of the current happenings that are back in 2017, we had a hurricane, and there were a lot of people who found out they were under insurance. Sometimes they were paying on a policy that was based on construction insurance that was taken from during the construction term. And for many years, they still paid premiums, and the insurance company collected money, and then they used that loophole not to pay the premium, the claim, sorry. And they are the sophisticated parties, as well as the bank. The bank also is complicit in that, because they have an interest to protect, and they did not advise their client, hey, you have no coverage for your dwelling, and you needed to change that coverage to reflect that reality. And so some people were denied their claim. And today they still have the money, and they have to find money otherwise to collect and to pay for their repairs. That is something that needs to be addressed. It is 3 years now, and the government has done nothing about that, from what I have heard. Another thing, in the last budget, I heard you respond to a question in terms of why money is being held out of Dominica and it's not coming in as quickly as it can. You made a statement saying that with the international banking system, it's kind of difficult to get money in and out quickly. But legitimate money has no problem getting in and out of the banking system. So is your admission, is that an admission by you that we are not doing proper vetting with some of these asset sales? The next question I have also is that, and I want to commend you for giving opportunities to students to go to study. I mean, we've had quite an increase in that. However, I've heard stories, and I know of one person who graduated in 2017, and as of a couple of months ago, his last fees were not paid, so he's unable to get his diploma. So as far as he's concerned, he cannot go to the marketplace and say, I have a degree, here's my diploma, although he has completed the program. And as a follow-up to that, I see you taking a decision, and which is good in terms of getting and allowing, maybe controlling the number of students who will be going out.
Yeah. Caller, I think we have 4 questions from you thus far. We will stick to these 4. You can always call back next Sunday for any additional questions which you may have, okay? But let us give someone an opportunity, so give me an opportunity to respond and give someone else an opportunity to ask other questions. Thank you very much. Now, the first question in regards to the land fees, we take note of that, and of course, I'm not sure how the Bar Association would react to your recommendation about the standardized or the flat fee rather than based on value. So I cannot tell you yes or no on this. This obviously we'll have to have consultation on this, but it makes some sense to me. In respect to underinsured, this is something that we all recognize as persons who were insured. Many of us were told that we were underinsured, and there were legitimate reasons why the insurance companies would have told some of us so, and some of us were not aware that we were underinsured because we had not done any improvements or extensions to our homes. We've been paying insurance to insurance companies, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, as a result of this, we as insured persons have become more aware of these things. I mean, this is not something that many of us were aware of, and I think it's important that we place greater attention and scrutiny to the agreements that we are signing with these insurance companies. Now, in respect to the transfer of funds from the CBI, now we all know globally that there are institutions which have issues with CBI programs all across the world, and their banks will not do any transactions with any CBI, especially in these islands. It's not the case in other countries because they do receive funds from other bigger countries, but we are small fries in a big ocean and so forth. So there are banks that have decided not to engage in any CBI activities and so on, which is strange, but that's what they indicated. And obviously, all of us know that transferring funds across the world, whether it's from government to government or from government to private citizen or private citizen to private citizen, there are huge challenges. There are huge challenges that are there, and every country goes through those challenges and so forth. So it is not that the funds are not legitimate funds. It's not that banks have their rules. They have their own conditions set, and you have challenges. Sometimes money is sitting in HSBC and transferred and maybe returned for one reason or the other, or Bank of Scotland, whatever it is. Funds coming from the United States sometimes are sent back for one reason or the other. So you should know that, and I'm hoping that you know that. Know that if you do not know, then you certainly would know. There is a question. I'll take a call first, and I'll go to the WhatsApp question. I'll speak to the last question this person asked about the students. Caller, please.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
Hi,
Is
good
this
evening.
the PM?
Yes, that's me.
Oh, hello. I'm calling from London. Look, I've called you several times. I'm so pleased I'm getting through. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, I've got 2 calls, PM. But first of all, I just want to congratulate you on an excellent job that you're doing. Yeah? So that's the first thing. The question is, it's regarding what is happening in terms of people who have damaged properties in Dominica. And the reason I'm asking that is, obviously the government can't do everything because it's giving, material to people who've had damaged, properties. But I'm just wondering whether the government has given any consideration to allowing if you like, a low interest repayment with a friendly bank to help homeowners whose property have been destroyed or ruined during Hurricane Maria, because not everyone needs material. And I'm understanding that material is given to some people, but some people may not need material. They may just need a low interest loan so that they could rebuild their property, because otherwise it would be rebuilding for the second time. So that's my first question. Now, the second question is, Dominica has so many rivers, we know that. One of the ladies called, I think, in the beginning of the program you had and asked about what was happening with the River Estate River. So I'm just wondering whether there is any reinforcement or security in terms of the river bank in protecting the homes that are close to the rivers, and whether the government has given any thought, to that. Thank you very much, and continue the excellent work you're doing.
Thank you very much. I'll come back to this. Let me, there's a question from WhatsApp. Could you please address concerns about conditions about quarantine facilities? I will leave this to the Ministry of Health to respond to during the course of this week. But again, we have to be understanding. I mean, we go to hotels and, you get to the hotel at 3 o'clock and you don't get your room until 10 because the room is not ready, though you pay for the room already. You go to the hotel room, the AC is not working. It's even a 5-star hotel. You go to a 5-star hotel, you have to pay for your water in your room. So we just have to be understanding and patient. Yes, when we get to somewhere where we have a long day traveling and we want to get to our rooms. I mean, we all have traveled and so on. It is not fair to us that we have to find things to criticize, I understand emotions are sometimes get the better part of us and so on. But we have to understand this, and that there are times the quarantine facility may not be quite ready for us. I had a situation where somebody messaged me about 2 senior citizens last night, but the person messaged me this morning and said, well, people are fine, they're in good spirits now, they've been taken care of and so on, and thank you and so on. And of course, if you go there and, you need certain supplies, your family can bring it to you. Your family is in Dominica. So we have to find ways let us focus more on solutions rather than highlighting little things that may not be in place or may not be to our liking. A caller, please.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening to you.
Good evening, Mr. PM.
How are you?
I'm good at you.
Not too bad. How is Belvis Chopin?
Belvis Chopin is good.
Nice hearing your voice.
All right, but I didn't make contact with you for a long time.
Long time. I need to see you
sir.
though. But we'll call you and I will arrange to see you because I really need to see you. Okay, soon.
All right.
Okay, darling. My friend.
Did you say so?
Yeah. Which one message? Okay. We'll call you. That's my very good friend in Belvis Chopin. I need to see. And of course, in respect to student study, we always go above the budgeted amounts allocated to assist students going to universities overseas. Because this government has been at the forefront of creating opportunities for Dominican young people to attain an education, whether it is access to early childhood institutions, whether it is access to secondary schools, not only access, but the means of taking advantage of the access. Whether it's we created the state college that now, scores of young Dominicans have access to tertiary education. When we came into office, only 7% of high school graduates had access to the college in Dominica. Now it's 100%. And we have seen a dramatic increase in number of students who are attending university. And not only university or scholarships from friendly governments and so forth, but opportunities that this government has created and partnerships it has engendered with a number of universities across the world. And we try our best to facilitate as many students as possible every single semester, every single year. I believe that we have to improve on the oversight and the management of this program, and this is why we're making changes to the program. We need to have a cutoff period when you can apply and when there will be no more applications required. I also believe that we may have to determine a quota every year If it's 100 students, then there'll be 100 students for this particular year. And to also place certain conditions on the performance of students. And there are situations where students change their majors without the Ministry of Education knowing, and so forth. And the other thing too is this. If you're not the island scholar, the support that government normally gives to students is really assistance to their education. And I don't think it's fair for people to give impressions if the government give everybody a full scholarship and so forth. Yeah, we have, you know, and the sad thing about this is this. You only hear about scholarships that we give and people who pretend to have interest in students when they think that there's something not working properly. And that kind of attitude is becoming ingrained in our students, our young people, and our parents. And they lose sight about the investments that have been made. So, okay, the student did 4 years at the university. And you tell me one semester of all of his semesters that the government has not paid the student, that's what you want to highlight. Had it not been for the government's investment, would that person have gone to university? That's what we have to talk about. And if that person is back, say 2017, we're in 2020, has this person been working? When I came back from university, I didn't get $1 from the government, from any government. Went to university, you know, paid with my mother's financing and credit cards and working. When I left university, I was owing. So I couldn't get my final diploma. And I worked for a few months and went to the Rosa Credit Union. I was a member there and took a loan from the Rosa Credit Union and paid the university. And then they FedEx my document to me. So you know, we have to be fair to ourselves and fair to our brother men. You know, and fair to our country. So whatever commitment we give to students, we will fulfill our commitments. Let us take a call and I'll come back to my conclusion on this question. Caller, please.
Mr. Pierre,
hi, good evening to you.
What's up, Mr. Pierre?
Very well, thank you.
All right. Just a question on my part. Who is paying on this budget? And how much?
Excuse me?
And Mr. Pierre, we get some money from the world, or money to Dominica, to give to small businesses. We were promised $666 and two. Mr. P has spent over $1,000 its requirement.
Which program is that? What are you talking about, sir?
The money that we went to the project, a road project going to something like that.
Well, I will not. Road project? Which ministry? Which ministry are you talking about?
Commerce. I went to the factory to look at and said that the money, the PM said, the money will, how it should to a road project going to Grand Falls money.
Sir, please, I don't want to entertain this here, this PM say and all these things. I would suggest to you that you may want to go to this ministry that you may have entered a contract with and seek to clarify your concern with the ministry. It appears to me that you have a contract with the government, with the Ministry of Commerce or one of the ministries you mentioned. I do not have the details of what you're talking about. And I would suggest that you may want to speak to the person who you signed a contract with. You'll have signed a contract with a particular permanent secretary. You can always call my office if you have a problem, and I could facilitate if you're unable to meet with that particular ministry. But I don't have the details of all of what you're talking about, World Bank and Grand Fond and road project and monies owed and so forth. Now, so we have to. There's no secret that this world is grappling with a major challenge, a financial and economic challenge, and Dominica included. And so yes, we do have outstanding amounts owed to students. And we will keep that commitment to students. But why is it that we want to make it look like, I mean, this is the first time. This is the first situation. And we should all be aware of the particular issue. We could have issued a decision that in light of COVID, we're not sending anybody to universities this year. But no, we didn't do that. We didn't do that. And I think, I tell people, I don't want to wait to say thanks to me. I'm just passing through in this job, and and I will move on at some point sooner rather than later, and so forth. But we have to teach the future generations and get them to change their attitude towards life and towards their own development, and how they see the world. And we must not give people the impression that somebody owes them something. Nobody owes us anything on this world. And if we keep giving all of ourselves, our children, the impression or the attitude that somebody owes us something, then what are we going to do for ourselves? What are we going to do for ourselves? And what kind of world, what kind of country are we going to bequeath to our children? How are they going to produce if they have to sit and wait for everybody, if say somebody owes them something? So let us, if we want to play politics to these things, that's fine with me. You guys can play your politics to this thing. But we are playing with the future of children. And the future leadership of this country. Caller, please. Hello.
Hello, good night, Ian.
Hi. Good night.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, then. This is Tony calling from Warden.
I recognize your voice. How are you?
Okay, PM, you are doing a fantastic job. May God continue to bless you. And do not let Dominicans give you stress. Don't let them give you stress here, because they know exactly how everything is going. But they just want everything, as you say. You work hard to not get your certificate. So do not worry, here. May God bless you and your government.
Thank you.
And just look about like country people.
Thank you.
We love you, as we love you. Only God look, we love you, PM.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I look forward to coming to Guadeloupe once things settle. Thank you very much, Colin. Now, in respect to the question from London, damaged properties, in that case, I mean, the banks, you can speak to the aid bank, and also the other commercial banks. They do have rather reasonable rates at some of the banks and financial institutions, credit unions. So I think it might be good for you to speak to them on the contracting of a loan. But the banks have a lot of money, and I know that they've been flexible with the mortgage interest rates, so you can speak to them. In respect to the rivers and, of course, the retaining walls, and you mentioned River Estate, one of the challenges we have in a lot of these communities is that people really have built on riverbeds. And I don't know how planning approve these plans. I don't know. But we have had to build, river walls, protective river walls in many parts of Dominica, especially in the West Coast, costing significant sums of money. So I'm aware of a particular challenge in River Estate, and because so many people actually built on the riverbed, or riverbank, and so I know a particular challenge there. But we've done tremendous dredging of those rivers. But we still have retaining walls to construct, so I take note of that particular challenge. Caller, please. Hello.
Good evening, PM.
Hi, good evening to you.
And pleasant evening to you.
Same to you, thank you.
This program is educational program.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, let me come back to the COVID period. Of course, we have to adhere to the guidelines. We have to be very careful. We have to learn to live with COVID, yes. But the more we can minimize we as citizens and residents contracting this virus is better for all of us. And so we have to, this is why I've been very strong about the issue of the back door, and there are people who have tried to misrepresent and to edit what I've said or to cut parts of my statements for their own narrow interests, which is unfortunate. I do not know how that could benefit anybody. But my position on this, I am a practical person. I treat things in a practical way. And those of us who are stranded in another country, it is better that you let us know, especially in the French islands of Martinique and Guadeloupe. As I said, we have consulates there. Please go to the consulates, let us know of your distress, and then we can facilitate. It may very well be a situation where we may have to speak to the ferry and maybe have a special arrangement where you can bring some of you down. So once we know, it is better for us to be able to plan properly so that we can minimize the risk, if not eliminate it completely. Caller, please. Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Yes, I'm waiting to speak to the PM.
Yes, go ahead. You are now speaking to him.
Well, I can see him on television talking about something else.
Well, you may want to avoid watching your TV and speak to him.
Okay.
All right.
Well, good evening.
Good evening to you, my friend.
Good evening. I don't know if you can remember me, but I've met you a couple of times. And I would like to see you to talk about something private. I can't talk about it on the TV.
Yeah, sure. I recognize your voice, and we will contact you, my friend, okay? God bless you. So we need to play our part in this COVID period. We see what's happening in the world, where countries have had a second wave and a third wave, and the countries that are still in lockdown, the countries with curfews, with restrictions. I don't think, notwithstanding the fact that we have 4 cases, I don't think there's any need for us to have any restrictions on the movement of people, but that we have to follow the guidelines and the protocols. We cannot be indifferent to what is required of us as individuals and as a society. Because if we become indifferent to what is required of us, then we will pay the price of this, and we want to ensure that our children can be safe. We all can be safe. Yes, caller, please.
Hi, good evening, PM. What day I on? My PM, I'm just calling to say thank you very much for what you have been doing for Dominica and the people of Dominica. Even though a few are ungrateful, but the majority love you and with you.
Yeah. No
anyway, your friend is my Wally Crichton. Tell you good night.
Give her that's my wonderful friend. Give my regards. I haven't seen her in a while.
No, but you see, she's with me now. She's suffering from dementia now.
I know that last time I went to Clifton, she was living elsewhere and so on. But she's Miss Ismail.
But she doesn't talk about you, PM. When I want her to get to pray, I say she'll still pray for you.
Yeah. Anyway. I will try to come and see her sometime. But she's my wonderful friend here, Ismail, from Clifton. She's not registered. She wasn't registered. She was my friend, Austria. There's a WhatsApp question. It would seem like the general public have not been taking these new cases seriously enough. There have been many parties and large gatherings. Do you have any thought on this? We have to be mindful that this virus is here. luckily for us, in respect to these cases, they have been able to be captured very early. In one or two cases, I think one case at the airport, secondary screening, which is good. But we have to be careful, and if we're going to be in large gatherings, we have to wear a mask, and we have to sanitize or wash our hands and adhere to the protocols. These things will help minimize the risk of there being a transmission. So I agree with you that we have to be careful with these large gatherings, and we cannot be complacent, because if it comes to a point where I've seen other countries with the surge in the number of cases, then we may have to force to take certain actions as a government to mitigate and to manage and to contain the spread of the virus. So far as a country, we've done a pretty good job, but that should not be a reason for us to be complacent. So we have to be mindful of this, and of course, this is why I said we have to stop the backdoor movement and to focus on coming through the country through legal means. Yes, caller, please. Hello? Caller? Caller's gone. So we have to get this. Now, we're still in the hurricane season. And of course, the hurricane season these days extend all the way to November. It used to be end of September. August, September usually troublesome months. Thank God, we have not been affected in any way. Caller, please. Hello.
Evening, PM.
Hi. Good evening to you.
How are you?
I'm pretty well, thank you.
I'm fine. I'm your friend.
How are you?
You became with that friend. I send you a letter. I haven't get any call from you.
Okay. All right. All right. We have
and I really want to see you.
Okay. Well, we need to respond to your letter, so we have your number, and we will make contact with you. Okay?
Okay, I'm waiting on that. Have
Sure.
a blessed day and have a nice evening.
Yeah. You too, my dear. God bless
Bye.
you. God bless you. I remember the voice now, So we have to be mindful that we're in a hurricane season, and we have to continue to be vigilant. We have to continue to prepare. We in the ODM and the National Emergency Planning Organization, we continue to be alert. There, so far, the good Lord has spared us, because the Lord knows that no country, including Dominica, can deal with a natural disaster. I mean, it is, and so we have to be mindful of this, of this impact on us and so on. Phone call, please, caller. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, good evening.
Yes?
Go ahead, please. Welcome. You listen to me and not your television or your radio, okay? So go ahead. Yeah. Please, when you call, don't pay attention to your television. As a matter of fact, you turn it off or turn the volume down and just simply ask a question or make a comment, please. Thank you. And of course, we have to continue to reach out to the senior citizens or communities, make sure that their homes are safe, make sure that there are no hazards of overhanging trees, that the drains are cleared. We really have to play our part in preparing this country for its own challenges. And we have to also continue to improve on our productivity in our country, in our positive attitudes about our country. This country, this world, and the country requires all of us to play our constructive roles. Telephone call, please.
Hello, good evening, PM.
Hi, good evening to you. Hello?
Hello, good evening, PM.
Hi, go ahead, please. We're listening. Go ahead.
I would like to see you, please.
Like to see me? Okay. We'll take your number there. I have so many people to see and so many people want to see me. But we will certainly make contact with you, my friend. So we'll make contact with you and get hold of it. So going forward, we're hoping to start the applications towards the end of this month for the grant to go towards persons who are building their homes for the first time or acquiring land, people 40 and below. This will be launched later this month so that we can start seeing benefits of this. This is a major plus, I believe, and I've gotten a number of inquiries up to the weekend in my own constituency. Two youngsters who asked me about this, that they're going to be buying some land, or their parents left land for them, they need to transfer so they can start building, and asking about the process and so forth, and we're hoping that we can finalize the application forms and the conditions under which these grants will be provided. And that's to tell the caller, especially people who talk about the students and so on. I mean, in this COVID period, a lot of the monies that we have put at the disposal of citizens, these are funds that we could use in the government for other things. We provide support to the farmers in terms of cash, to small businesses, income support, because we recognize that in this period, the government, as far as practically possible, must hold people's hands, must hold people's hands. And in a time of this financial and economic challenge confronting Dominica and the world, we have not made anybody redundant in the public sector, even if you were temporary. And this is the same situation after Erica, the same situation after Maria. We kept everybody on. And the government's revenue would have been dramatically impacted after Maria and, of course, during this COVID period. So our expenditure has increased, but revenue dropped. And we have had to sustain an increased expenditure because the social safety nets are more relevant and more critical now in this difficult period than they are in normal circumstances. And though in normal circumstances, they are still required. And so we do these things to ensure that as far as practically possible, the state can provide. I mean, even with the reopening of schools, this is a different period for the opening of schools in September. I mean, we've had to spend monies on hand sanitizers and soaps, and now we have, they call them hygiene officers or attendants that we have to employ to be at the schools to facilitate the maintenance of the hygienic practices and the guidelines and the protocols that have been set by the Ministry of Education at the schools. We have to also help a lot of buses with hand sanitizers, to ensure that when the children get onto the bus and they get off the bus, that they can sanitize and so forth. I mean, so the cost of this, of these things, the COVID center, we're paying for accommodation because most people don't pay the accommodation. There's a significant cost. We are paying for internet coverage. We are paying for people to clean the facilities. We provide meals, and if people don't pay, then the government has to pay. These are funds that have to be diverted from something else. And running the country is no different from you managing the affairs of your family. And as you know, money was never made to be spent. Money was made to be managed. So we have to be managing money. And that's what the government has been doing. And this is why sometimes people think that it is so easy that anybody can do it. Because we make running the country look easy because we don't complain. We don't complain. But I can tell you, I don't think anybody wants to be Minister of Finance of this country at this time. Like nobody wanted to be Prime Minister of Dominica after Hurricane Maria. Not one Dominican wanted to be Prime Minister. after Hurricane Maria, until, well, they saw homes going up and streets and bridges being built and schools, people back in school, and there were no health issues and so on. So the country back being nice, everybody wants to be prime minister again. Is what I'm saying. Now everybody hiding because nobody wants to be prime minister, but the moment things get back and so on, and so forth. So this is no different from how you manage the affairs of the country. You have children, that's your income, these are your expenditure. Sometimes you have more to spend than you have to spend more than you're making, and you have to cut. You have to cut and decide, okay, well, this time I'm not gonna have no top up on my telephone for the rest of the month because I've used up my allocation for my cell phone. And you may decide to take the bus for the week and save yourself filling the tank because it might be cheaper to take the bus. So these are some of the practical decisions that you have to make as families, and these are the same practical decisions that we have to make as a government. Somebody comes to the government, you have to have the person flown out of Dominica. The person needs what? 20,000 euros just for the hospital, another 5,000 euros for the ambulance. What do I say? What do I say to that person? What would you say to that person if you're the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance of the country? Do I tell the person, well, boy, you're in COVID period, boy, without money and so on, and and all of this back to school stuff and all the hand sanitizer that we have to buy for schools and supplies? What do you say? So, you can be my guest and answer the question for yourself. But we sometimes speak in this country as if we put in all these billions of dollars into the treasury and it's just there, and Skerrit doesn't want to spend it and to do this and to do that, and so much tax we paying and so on, and there's so much money and so on. The Lord has been good to us, and we have been diligent and responsible in the management of the country. And notwithstanding the challenges, we continue to move forward. I think I have gone above the time. It's 5 past or 6 past 8, or this is, I have watches, but they never have correct time, so you can never watch. But so this is what you say. Well, it's 5 past 3 on my watch and so on. So I never have correct time when I watch and so on. I'm sure maybe time is not important for me. So, but thank you very much for being with me this evening. I know you have so many other things to do on a Sunday, ironing your clothes, maybe while you listen to me ironing your clothes, and for work and for school, and you packing the children's bags, and some people normally cook lunch or they prepare for lunch for tomorrow. So I really appreciate this. You following and you've been part of this program. I know as many of you would like to call us possible. We try to take all of the calls that we can as possible. So tonight we had a very interesting discussion, if I may say so. Having had a discussion on the entrepreneurship visa program, a novel program for Dominica, and we look forward to having it launched, and businesses can benefit from this, and the economy can benefit from this. And I believe if it's successful, you see huge benefits being accrued from this initiative. And of course, I am always open to ideas and suggestions as to how people believe that we can grow the economy, we can expand the economy, we can create jobs. I do not have all the ideas at all. I do not have half of the ideas. I rely on people who interact with me and who love this country, who would like to see Dominica move forward. And I think if all of us can commit ourselves to being positive, what a better place we would call home, we would call Dominica. So have a wonderful week. Tomorrow is going to be a traffic problem. Leave home early. Too many of you want to leave home late, and you want to leave. So leave early. And get out. Make sure you have your raincoat because sometimes you get the rain and umbrellas. So all the best. Have a good evening, and let us continue to serve our God and to serve our country diligently. Let us do small positive things, when added up, can be a huge impact. Thank you. God bless.
Respiratory viruses like COVID-19 spread when mucus or droplets containing the virus get into your body through your eyes, through your nose, or your throat. Most often, this happens through your hands. Hands are also one of the most common ways that the virus spreads from one person to the next. Hand washing is one of the cheapest, easiest, and most important ways to prevent the spread of the virus. It remains the #1 tip for preventing the spread of COVID-19. It's common sense, and it works. However, it must be done properly and with soap and water. Sabrina Bernard, nurse and health educator, gives a step-by-step guide on good hand washing. She will tell everything you need to know about how to wash your hands the right way.